Maxed Out Man, helping you become the man you were made to be.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Maxed Out Man podcast. I am going to be here with Markus today. Is it Kaulius?
Yeah, it is.
All right, got Kaulius going. Hey, before we get started, maxoutman.com, go and learn more about what we got to offer, coaching programs, courses, memberships, this podcast, all sorts of things. Find us on all the social medias as well. Hey, I'm going to read Markus's bio, which I've said this many times in this podcast, but you represent what I call my how did you get in here guest. And what that means is I have a lot of friends and I've been in a lot of events where I'm like just waiting for security to tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, dude, how'd you get in here? So you're kind of one of those guests, but let's read through this. Markus is a serial entrepreneur and the founder of multiple 8- and 9-figure businesses. His over 25 plus year career, he grew a supplement company from startup to 170 million and helped clients worldwide lose over 3 million pounds, which is super cool. Plus, whatever you don't know that you tracked. He's impacted the lives of over 10 million people, which, dude, this is all about impact. So that is super cool. With an online following over 300,000, Markus shares daily insights with his community spanning business strategy, mindset, health, and faith. Through his new venture, playabiggergame.com, Markus is bringing together the world's greatest minds and sharing lessons learned from entrepreneurial journey to help other high achievers break free from imbalance and feelings of discontent so that they can find fulfillment beyond career success. That's a mouthful. And it's so cool, right? Like you and I talked about before we start recording that we're all, there's kind of this big sandbox in this space where people like us who have, had success with marriage and family and business and health and fitness and all of these things, right? Like we want to share these things because there are so many people that either don't know how to get that success or they're unmotivated or they just need some help, right? And so that's your basic intro. Tell us more about you. Thank you so much for coming. Like I said, I try to put on a nicer shirt today after I saw a couple of pictures of you in your fancy suits. I don't know if I accomplished enough dress up in order to make that happen, but here we are.
Great, brother. You look great, brother. Listen, I'm so excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me. I know we're going to have a great conversation, and I think you're so right. I think there's a lot of people out there, and I'm confident there's a lot of people listening right now who just listen to these conversations and go, I hope to get a nugget or two. And I hope to deliver that today. I hope people walk away going, there's just some little things that I overheard that I can start doing that. And my encouragement to you, if you're listening right now, take action on something. Take action on something that you hear today. We consume so much. My big thing is I'm an action guy. I hear something, I learn something, and I try it immediately. And our world, it's one of the key things I see going wrong is we consume. We take it in, and then we go, why didn't my life change? Because you didn't do anything with it. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite equations. K, which is knowledge, minus A, which is action, equals 0. Without action, you're going to get no change. So please, everybody, today, just make a commitment. Take action on something that you hear.
What do you think keeps people from taking action? And obviously my audience is primarily for men, but we do a lot of marriage and couples and essentially how to get men to be better husbands and fathers and be more fit and find their purpose and all of those things. Yeah. What keeps everybody from taking that action? Because if you're an entrepreneur, you're like me, right? Like I fully expect to fail on a lot of the things I try, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like I'll just try something else, right?
Yes. Oh, brother, this is such a great question. And it's connected to everything you and I are talking about, like fitness, the same. Why don't people get started? We know what we're supposed to do. Comfort is so comfortable. We're used to, like that Netflix, man. I'm just going to watch a few more episodes. Everybody's doing it. It's not that big of a deal. And you know what? Hey, let's not make a healthy dinner tonight. Let's just order it in. It'll come right to our door. We barely have to get up and we'll just keep watching. It's comfortable. And the unknown is risky, or it appears risky to us. And what if I fail? The fear of failure is so huge. Even when people aren't willing to admit it, we all fear like, oh, what would that look like? And then, we've got all these reinforcements like social media. Well, I don't want to be the first person to ever fail at something, because on social media, nobody's failing at anything.
That highlight reel, right?
Right? So, yeah, it's just the people who just try stuff. And I love what you said. You just expect to fail at some things. Absolutely. I'm one of these guys, I make snap decisions. And I think that's a part of my success is I don't dwell on things. I mean, of course, there's certain big decisions. I need more research. I need a bit, but honestly,
risk mitigation. Yeah, I mean, you got to mitigate risk and all that stuff, right? But yeah.
But that is, I don't even know if that's 10% of decisions. That means 9 out of 10 times when there's a decision to be made, boom, I made it. I accept that I'm not going to get 9 out of 10 right.
Right.
But because I make them like this, I'll get a couple wrong and then I'll fix it quick and I'll learn from it. I think most people who don't make decisions are just like, well, I just want to make every decision perfect. And if I don't, what if? And I deal with people like that all the time. And they're constantly going, yeah, but I got to think about this. And then I got these other 8 decisions on my plate right now. And it's like, wow, that is so hard to juggle. Why don't we just get 6 of them off your plate right this second?
Right. I want you to walk me through that decision-making tree a little bit, but my wife is like that, right? My wife is kind of a perfectionist. She really hates to say something that's incorrect. Like that's her greatest fear, is to be in a conversation, say something and it just be incorrect. Like I talk out of my butt all the time and embarrasses crap out of her. Like because I'm a generalist, probably like you, which means you have a ton of knowledge about a lot of little things. And so you can almost speak intelligently about almost anything, right? Like, so, and I'm okay with someone saying, no, that's total crap, you're wrong or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm wrong. Thanks for educating me about that. That's like her greatest fear. Like she wants to be correct when she speaks and acts and all that. Like, and again, I'm totally fine with being wrong. I've been wrong. I'm wrong all the time. And I'll just pivot, apologize, learn something, and then, try to be right next time.
Totally. Oh, brother, we have so much in common. So I didn't want to say it for whatever reason, but it's also my wife that I was talking about. My wife, like everything, she's like, well, what if I say this? What's it? I'm like, really? Are you debating this? I would have said it an hour ago and figured out what I did wrong. And you and I are the same in this one too. Like, I'm okay with making mistakes because I love learning. And it was so funny. Just last night, I can't remember what word it was, but I used a bigger word and I wasn't sure if I was going to use it correctly, but I was like, I'm just going to toss it out there. And my 12-year-old daughter goes, Dad, I don't think you used that word correctly. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Remind me. And she corrected me. I'm like, boom, I learned. I don't care. I know there's a lot of people like, whoa, that's so embarrassing. Your 12-year-old corrected you. I'm like, well, one, my 12-year-old's freaking a genius. But number 2, now I learned and I won't make that same mistake again and I won't make it out in public. So if I'm going to make mistakes, I'd rather make it around my family. And I want them to know I'm human. I want them to know mistakes are okay. And how did I handle it? Oh, no, I'm so embarrassed. No, who cares?
I was talking to so my daughters are 25, about to be 26 and 24. And I was talking to her the other day and she was like, I still remember this time when I was 14 and you said something and I called you on it. We looked it up and you were wrong. It's like, she was like, that has a snapshot in my mind because
love it.
Like I have great retention, so I can remember a lot of stuff. So I tend to be more right than wrong like you. But it was funny that my daughter was like, I remember this vividly, that I proved you wrong. You had to apologize and I made you look dumb. And so I was like, all right, that's great. I'm glad you remember that. But I remember growing up, or when they were growing up, I apologized to them daily, right? Like I flew off the handle. I didn't handle this correctly. I didn't say the right words, or I didn't lead you in that direction. And so that, I think your idea of not being embarrassed about it, but saying, hey, thanks for helping me learn from this. And thanks for helping me show you that I'm human and like I'm a normal person and I'm not here to get it all right all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, 2 things. 1, I love your story, but 2, your kid is 25. What were you, like 12 years old when you had your first child? What is this? bro.
It's all implants and plastic surgery. It's the lighting. No, I'm 51. I turned 51 in December. So
good for you, man. I love it.
Trying to do what we can.
Yeah, I love the health. I love your energy, man. That is, people, whatever this guy's dishing out, man, take a big old healthy serving of
Now,
that.
how old are you?
45.
45. So you're not that far behind me.
No, sir.
We got married at 21 and 22. My wife was 21. I was 22. We had our kids at 24, I think, is when we started, which was awesome because they were homeschooled and they left the house at 17.
Nice.
Both of them. So like I was in my early 40s and my kids were all out of the house. And I don't care what anybody says about empty nesting and missing your kids and all that. They can come visit, but being empty nesters is freaking awesome. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so good, man. I love that for you, and I'm psyched myself. I want to see them fly. Fly the coop, man. Enjoy.
My oldest, when she was 18, she was like, Dad, I want to move to Hawaii. And I'm like, all right, got any money? And she did. She had like $15,000 saved up at 18, and which lasted her way less time than she thought because she was on the island of Oahu. But this kid, like, I offered to help her get through some of those months or whatever. She would not take it. Like, this kid is just one of those kids that's like, I wouldn't ask you. She literally, we found out later, lived in her car at the mall for 2 weeks, which in Hawaii, I should point out that in Hawaii, this is very common. And she's like me, where she can befriend people and kind of and she had actually befriended the security people at the mall. Nice. So that she could go in there. There was a Planet Fitness that she joined. So that was kind of her like shower and workout and all that stuff. But all that to say, these kids and the way they grow up and kind of that mentality is just crazy.
That's awesome, bro. So good.
So tell me about kind of, we never really got into it, but tell me kind of your history and how you got to where you are. It's kind of funny over the last couple of weeks, or about the last week, I've been kind of dealing with like this imposter syndrome thing within my own mind, right? Like I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm doing, but I always feel like I'm like this close, right? Like to that great level of success. And when I hang out with guys like you, I'm thinking that's awesome that he made that. I'm really want to work and learn and get to that point, right? To be able to do this. And I'm sure it was 100% smooth sailing for you. You never had any problems. You know, you got that fitness model body, which was like ultra easy to get. It was like, Morgan Spurlock eating Big Macs all the time. You guys should go to Marcus's socials and see some of these pictures. First of all, with Mr. 26-inch waist at that point, probably. But when you see fitness models, this is a total sidebar, but when you see those people, men or women, the amount of work and effort and sacrifice required to get ready for those shoots, and keep in mind, they don't maintain that unless you're doing multiple shoots at over. But it sucks. Like that is something that's hard. And if you sit and tell me that it was easy for you, we're gonna have to end this interview. But
Kevin, I had to work so hard. Okay, I took a $20 million loan from my father, and I turned it into $21 million over 25 years. Okay,
that's funny. There's a meme going around. It's like how to be a success in business, and it says like work hard, get up early, have a morning routine, borrow $9 million from your father, this, and this. Like it just kind of inserts it in the middle. So yeah, it makes it a little bit easier, but I don't think that's your story.
No. Let's start by saying this. I truly believe my story is a story of if this guy can do it, anybody can do it. And no, there were just tons of hardship, tons of challenges, which I've learned to absolutely love. I've learned to see challenges in front of me now as an exciting step that I know is going to help me grow to a new level. And looking back at all the baggage, all the garbage, all the things at the time that stressed me out, freaked me out, I'm so grateful for all of it. And that is one mindset shift that I would love to help people with, because I think there's so many of us walking around with our baggage and like, well, I'm doing good these days, but I got to tell you, because of this, I'm having tough times with blah, blah, blah. And I say that from a place of mercy. Don't hear this as, come on, man up, get over it. No. It takes time. It took tons of years of work for me. But now I can go, I'm so grateful for that stuff. I now see all of my baggage, all of my garbage as gifts. They were gifts. So we grew up really poor. The divorce happened when I was 7, and it was a mess.
Dude, mine too. Literally mine too. That's crazy. So keep going.
Yeah. And, my father wasn't really in the picture, but now he was out of the picture. And my mom, to raise 4 kids, she had to go back to school full-time and full-time work. So essentially, I lost both of my parents on that day. And I was a skinny kid. I had a huge Lithuanian growth spurt in my early teens. I was 6'4", 120 pounds.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's a body right there.
Yeah.
And I got bullied to high heaven. And unfortunately, immediately that bullying set in and I believed all of it. And then guess what? The girls didn't care for that much because my confidence was zero, self-worth, self-esteem, all garbage. But then there was this turning point when I was 15, and it was really just a mental shift. And I really felt this calling, and I felt God speak to me and say, hey, you don't have to live that life. What if you got to be the person you wanted to be? What if you didn't believe what was said about you? And I'm telling you, in an instant, I was a different human being. And now I wasn't pretending to be someone else. I just actually heard and felt this idea of like, okay, shed the crap that's said about me. Who am I? And my authentic self was somebody who people did want to be around. I think everybody knows inside of them who they're supposed to be. Like if I asked you, what would a more confident version of you look like? Well, we'd go, well, I'd be a little more like this. And I'd speak with a little more authority. I'd shake your hand a little stronger, make a little more eye contact with you. That's right. And guess what? When I did that, immediately the world said, this is who this guy is. And we like him. It was crazy. Immediately, I'm dating girls. Immediately, I'm hanging out with cool guys. Immediately, bullies are off my back because they don't like guys with this kind of confidence. Now, the real work had to begin because I was like, I want more of this for my whole life. And now I had to start developing habits. I needed to start building the man that I really wanted to be. And it was a journey for 30 years now. I've been on this journey, and it'll be a never-ending journey. I'm not like, well, I'm done now. It's awesome. I do. I have an amazing life, but I'm far from done. Now that I've had a taste, I'm going, can you imagine if I stick with this for 5 more years or 15 more years? Can you imagine where I'm going to be when I'm 80? And by the way, I will last over 120 years, God willing, unless he pulls me sooner. But I have a long runway of life. And when I say 120, I don't mean the last 40 years of my life I'm going to be with a cane and a walker and that crap. No, I'll give you the last 10 years are going to be a little bit crappy. That means 110, this guy is going to be acting like a 65-year-old, and it's going to be freaking awesome.
I love that. That's awesome. I tell 2 stories that one of my podcast episodes, go back and listen to it. It's with Fred Neth. Fred is my neighbor, 92 years old, and he already cut it all, but normally at this time of year, I can hear him running his chainsaw because he's cutting his firewood from like he orders a log truck full of logs. Wow. He cuts them all, he splits them all, he stacks them all. And like, that's that he was a pastor for 40 years, but he's just one of those guys. Like, we're doing some coaching right now. And I was going this morning through some of the fitness and longevity and quality and all that. And that was what I said, be like Fred. Yes. Right? Like that's the kind of thing that you want. My grandmother lived to be over 100. Awesome. And her mom lived to be over 100 also. So I have pretty good genes to do that. So like, I want to take care of myself. But funny story with my grandma, and this is kind of an interesting side note for kind of how you view your life. She called us about 6 months before she died. And she said, hey, I'm bored. I'm done. Her husband died the year we got married. So he'd been gone for 28 years. She'd been on her own, traveling the world, doing her thing, living in the same small town in Texas. And so she said, I want you guys to come visit me because we were kind of the last ones that hadn't been back home in a while to see her. And so we went to visit her. Great time. She was deaf and blind. at that point for the most part. Not completely, but enough to where she was like, I can't watch TV. I can't learn. I can't read books really, you know, and all that. So she was like, I'm just bored. I'm just over it. And so like within 3 weeks, and she was like mobile. Her wits were 100%. She was like, just turned it off. She was dead within 3 weeks after we visited her.
Wow. That's wild.
And that like doesn't give you that sadness, right? Like that gives you this, first of all, she went out, like she died in her sleep. It's not like she went out and got hit by a truck or something on purpose. Like she literally just died.
Awesome.
But she had lived this amazingly long life, great family, great marriage to that man, and never got remarried. But that, you know, all that to say, if we live to 120, which I think you're right, is probably scientifically possible, is for guys like us and people like us who take care of their health, you know, maximize their hormones and diet and sleep and rest and all these things, right? Like that's the ideal, but we want to live quality of life.
Yes.
I'm pretty much determined I'm probably going to fall off a ladder or something really stupid because I make poor decisions when I do physical things. So, you know, I'm hoping that I get to do that at like 95 or 105, not next year, but there's always a chance. So.
That's so good, brother. I am very confident, again, unless God takes you sooner, that you will last over 100 just because of what you already said. You have a belief in you. Like, you know, hey, there's no reason I can't. I'm putting in the effort. My genes are great. There's the difference between most people and us. And by the way, again, this is for anybody to start believing this way. I believe my runway is 120. Like with all my being, I believe that. And when you believe that, think of the difference it changes for what most people think. They go, okay, well, I'm probably 80, 85 years. And then at about 65, I should start slowing down. Honestly, though, it'll be more like 58, 59. I'll start really slowing down. Your brain is listening and going, yeah, you bet. We will start slowing you down. And your brain will constantly, 58 years old, you're giving a workout and your brain's going, hey, that's a little bit heavy. Let's go lighter. Let's not work out so many times this week. And it will happen. It will happen just as you said it would happen. So for me, it's going to happen the way I say it's going to happen. I'm going to be 80 years old, still training like a maniac. People are going to be like, why is that guy squatting 225? Isn't he like 80 years old? And it's like, that's right, kids. What's up now? What's up? I got 40 more years to go. Because of my belief, I'm going to make those things happen. And I mean, by the way, everybody who doesn't know about things like stem cell research and all the crazy stuff that's happening in medical because of AI, I mean, 120 is going to be the tip of the iceberg. If people are 20 years old right now, I'm very confident you're going to last till 150 plus. Like that's how crazy far things have come these days.
I mean, that's weird to think about. And hopefully we can figure out how not to kill people with the food that they eat, how to get them active, right? How to push them forward and do that. I tell myself and my body, like I joke and say I've been sore since I was like 14 years old, right? Like if you lift weights regularly, you're just, and it's that soreness and that tightness. And if you go, like if you're traveling and have to go like a week without working out, I keep talking about memes, but there's this meme of like the guy that's looking at himself and he's like, after what I think I look like after a week of not working out and what I actually look like. And he's like 250 pounds heavier than he is in real life. But like your brain mindset, like you get so used to that feeling.
Yes.
How do we educate you? You said earlier about people are comfortable, right? But it's almost like they're comfortable in their discomfort.
Yes. 100%.
Right. Like my wife's a baker. And so I will now, hopefully I need to change this, but I referred to the time between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year as bulking season. Because I went from like 7% body fat to probably like 12% body fat. And so now I'm having to take that body fat back off, but it's like that extra 8 pounds of fat, right? It makes me feel like crap.
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, I can see it. I physically don't have the same kind of energy. And we have a society that's carrying 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. you're 45, I'm 51. And so that 40 plus men, especially I think kind of get more comfortable in this. They just are like, this is how I am. And there's the whole body positivity movement and all that stuff is all completely whack job right now.
Yeah.
But I think men are like, well, I'm married, so I don't have to do anything. I don't have to brush my hair or brush my teeth or put on nice clothes or not weigh 280 pounds or whatever. How do we teach people that they're not actually comfortable? Like, you feel like crap. Do you know you feel like crap? I always wonder that, because I've never gone years of just eating like crap, not working out, all of these, I don't even really understand what that would look like.
Oh, yeah. Brother, this is such great conversation and something so important for us to talk about. So I'm going to take it a little bit dark for a second, because you're absolutely right. People are comfortable in their discomfort. And what we need to do is, and I hope people are listening to this, this is an important one. Think about where your path is going to lead you if you stay on it right now. You need to recognize how bad it's going to be. And you can't pretend that you don't know. The statistics are flawless.
Mm-hmm.
Where is your obesity going to land you? Chances are with diabetes. And why don't you find out what diabetes actually look like and all the pain and struggle that comes with it? And then what's going to happen when you're 60, 65? Now, that's if you even make it that far. Now, how much time are you going to be spending in the doctor's office, the hospital? What kind of burden are you going to be to your children? What kind of relationship are you going to have with your children? But now, let's talk about your relationships. Let's talk about your marriage. Don't just assume it's still going to be there in 5 to 10 years. That attitude that so many men have, and again, I got to say, this is coming from a place of mercy and love. I'm not pointing a finger and going, you're bad, you're this, you're that. I'm coming from a place of going, I don't want you on that path. We know where it lands. Why would you think you are going to be the anomaly that's like, well, my wife is going to stick with me even though I don't care. I don't care about my health. I don't care about my body. I don't care about making her attractive to me. I don't keep it new and fresh. We know the statistics. It's 54% and climbing is that divorce rate. Why do you think you're holding the winning lottery ticket like that?
And 70% of divorces over 45 are initiated by women, by the way.
And I can only imagine it's going to get worse. Like, I think we're only seeing the tip of it right now, because I agree with you. Unfortunately, men have this attitude, well, this is who I am. You're going to love me or not. And it's like, do you want her to answer that? Like,
right.
I don't want to be rude, but this is the truth. So why not put some effort into it? And first of all, so recognize that is the path that you're on. You're on this path. It's likely going to end in divorce. How's that going to land with your children? How much of a burden do I want to be to my kids? And at 55, 60, do I still want to have mobility? Do I want to have some exercise and life still in me? Look at that. There's your discomfort. Now, you can take simple action today to make sure that never becomes a reality. And by the way, what I just talked about with you, this is something I did some extensive work with Tony Robbins on for my life. And I went down this path and I made it as dark as possible. He showed me as dark as possible. Now, your wife has left you. My wife is remarried. My kids are getting married to guys I don't like, and I'm not even invited to the wedding. What a horrifying reality for me to envision. And then he forced me to look at myself in the mirror and go, Marcus, it's not your fault. It's the government's fault. It's the economy's fault. It's this, it's that. It's not your fault. It's your parents' fault. They cursed you. You're not to blame. You couldn't have done anything. And I'm going, at this point, I'm weeping, man. And I'm like, that is not going to be my reality. And when he snapped me out of it and he's like, wake up. Now is your chance. What do you want to do about it? I'm like, everything's going to change. And I put so much intention into how I treat my wife and my children and my body and my health and my mind, because I want to show up every day. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to respect me. I want them to love me and feel so much abundance of love towards them. And that's the kind of life, not just for me, but for them. Think about me pouring that kind of energy, that kind of abundant love into them. Don't you think they're going to succeed more in life? Don't you think they're going to experience more life? Don't you want that for your children? That excites me. So I hope you guys got something out of that. If you got anything out of that, write it down now so you don't forget about it and take action on it. Take action on it today. Go for a walk today. Get out there. Go find some woods to walk around in. Take in some deep breaths. Have some meditation out there. Just go for a nice walk. You won't believe how transformative it can be.
Yeah. And excuse me, having that mindset change is definitely, I mean, that, and this is a joke, but like I'm convinced that the people that say women prefer dad bods are guys with dad bods that did the research.
Yeah.
Because if you've never experienced this, like obviously I've been married for 28 years. My wife and I, we've been more fit, less fit, whatever, right? But we stay fit. But I know that I get more compliments when I'm more fit than when I'm less fit. Right? Like it could be subconscious, it could be whatever, but it's also because of that confidence, right? Like I feel better about myself. And I've always joked, one of the reasons I was really successful as a personal trainer is because I'm like everybody else. Like I'm not really somebody that loves working out. Like which is probably how you are. And there's a lot of guys that are like that and they're super successful at that. I was never that guy, but I was doing 13 clients a day. But I like, hey, we're all in this together, right? I want to be vain. I'm vain. So I want to work out for that reason, but I want to have health, longevity. I had clients that, couldn't even get up from a laying position on their own without doing that whole rollover up on and go from that to doing, box jumps and burpees and, full sit-ups and all of those things back in the day. Cause we need that hip flexor strength at that time. And all of that kind of stuff. But like just having that mindset, so you're a guy clearly, like I can see a picture of you. I can see different candidates of you. And I can say, I know Markus has this amazing energy, right? Like you just have that, you exude that energy, not only in person, we're not in person, but even through this thing. I tend to be more of a resting bitch face kind of guy, unfortunately, but I'm like, if you see me, right? But like in having this conversation, I obviously don't have that energy, but how do you tell people how to get that energy? Like what is the basic mindset towards having that kind of get up off your ass, go take a walk, treat your wife better, all of like, how do you impart that kind of energy into people?
Oh man. First of all, I appreciate that so much. And second of all, it's a process. And I'm going to give you guys a few tips right now, but there's not like one thing. It's not like, yeah, everybody drink wheatgrass and you'll have the energy I have. There isn't just one thing. And my first encouragement to you is this. You could find 25 different things that are going to help your energy. And what we do naturally when we're on this kick of like, I'm going to improve my energy, I'm going to get into this, we try and change 20 different variables in our life. How did that go for you? How did that go for you every other time you've ever tried to do it? So my encouragement to you is this: choose three. Choose three things that you're going to say, these are the three things I'm going to focus on, and I am going to change these things. And start with your identity. Stop saying whatever negative thing that usually comes out of your mouth that destroys it. How many people have you and I dealt with who are trying to lose weight, who are like, this is so like me. I do it for a couple weeks and then I break my diet. I'm a failure when it comes to this. I always do this. What you're doing is you're identifying yourself as some sort of failure. You got to stop that. That's you're wearing it as a badge. That's not what you need to be doing anymore. You're old enough to know better. So now say, you know what? I'm a man who's smart enough to make the right decisions. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. You have to forgive yourself when you slip up, but forgive yourself and then immediately say, but not tomorrow. No. I am not a guy who does 2 days in a row. So yeah, I screwed up yesterday on my diet. I screwed up yesterday by missing my workout, but not 2 days in a row. So these three things, you're going to write them down. You're going to put them on sticky notes and you're going to put them all over your life. You're going to put them in your car. You're going to put them on your bathroom window. You're going to put them at your desk. You're going to have to stare at these things so many times that it's easier just to follow your new rules than to fight them. So choose 3 things. I'm going to give you just a few options here to boost your energy. Number 1, get some exercise in the morning. If you work out in the morning, it sets you up for a way better day. You have energy for the whole day, plus you got your workout in. If you're leaving it till the end of the day, do you know how many people find a reason not to work out? And I have so much mercy for that too. Crap happens during the day. My business really needs me. My wife called me. She needs me to pick up the kids. I've got to go do this. I got to go do this. I hear you. But what always comes off the list first? The workout. If you do the workout in the morning, you feel awesome. And all day long, you go, freaking started this day so awesome. What a champ. I'm a freaking champ. I got my workout done in the morning. Okay, so there's number 1. Number 2, start focusing on your integrity right when you wake up. This is such a big one. If you use the snooze button, you need to stop immediately. If you snooze, you lose. The snooze button is your first chance of the day to say, I'm a man of integrity. My yes means yes, my no means no. I said I would wake up at this time, and this is the time I will wake up. Just so you know, the studies are super clear. If you hit that snooze button, you are messing up your sleep way more than you realize. You think, I'm going to give myself 10 more minutes of sleep. It's going to be good for me. It is terrible for you. It is called the dream killer for a reason. But more importantly than that, I just want to focus on your integrity. If you hit that snooze button, from the very moment you woke up, you have said to your brain, my yes doesn't really mean yes. My no really doesn't mean no. So all the rest of the day, when any decision comes up, your brain, whether you think about it or not, it's your subconscious goes, your yes doesn't really mean yes. We're just negotiating here. And that's a problem. That's a problem that will transpire and permeate into everything you do at work, everything you do with your diet, your health, your conversations. So tomorrow, you are going to wake up when you said you're going to wake up, and you're going to celebrate it. You're going to go, that's right. I'm a man of my word. I said I would do it, and I did it. Look at me. I'm a freaking champ. You don't have to worry about social media going, that's not a big deal. You're not a big deal until you've done this, this, and this. I'm telling you, that's a big deal. You want to celebrate with somebody? You message me. I will be the first person to go, that's what I'm talking about. Just those little wins. They stack up. They add up. They compound. And then the final thing I'm going to give you is this. You're going to remove one bad habit from your life. Your choice. It could be a toxic person in your life. It could be a bad food that you know you eat that you should be taking out. So just as important, if actually it's more important to remove some of the bad stuff from our lives than it is to add the good stuff. Because all this good stuff, you think about the energy that you have every day. Okay, well, I got my workout in, so that gave me some energy. I had some coffee, so that gave me some energy. I had a great sleep last night, gave me some energy. But then I had a really bad talk with my coworker. Ugh, she's such a gossip. And then we blah, 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 blah. Okay. How much did that take you down compared to what all these things brought you up? Probably equal or more. So you see how important it is that we remove the bad stuff so that the good stuff can actually elevate us. So what you see out of me, this energy that I have my non-negotiables. I do these things every single day, and I don't do any of these things ever. And it takes time. It's not like you can do it overnight. But I've been working at this thing for 30 years. And I can tell you right now, I have phenomenal energy every single day. My immune system is spot on. I get sick like not even once a year. I have great energy when I wake up. I go to sleep and get a great night's sleep. I wake up with energy. I love my schedule. There are so many positives about this life. And this is not me bragging. This is me going, hey, there is a beautiful end to this if you put in the work every single day.
Dude, there's so much in that. First of all, I don't think I've ever heard anyone tie integrity to the snooze button, which I think is phenomenal. I'm going to probably steal that and give you credit. But I've been fortunate because I haven't woken up to an alarm in like 25 years.
Oh, I love that.
But I also don't sleep nearly as much as I should. Right. Like, but my body naturally, like if I go to, so a couple of nights ago, we went to bed early. I had been traveling. And so I think we went to bed about 9, which is early for us. And then I was awake at like 4:30.
Yeah.
Because my body was like, normally I'm like a 6.5 to 7 guy, but after 7.5, my body was like, hey, you're done. It's time to get up. Right. And so if you have those good sleep habits and you have all that, then that makes that morning time so much easier. I'm a dual exerciser because I work out of my house.
Yeah.
Except for when I travel. So then I do kind of some basic cardio, my sauna, try to get the cold plunge in the morning to kind of, and it's almost more mental than physical.
Oh yes.
Like if I miss that morning cardio session, and I mean, we're not talking about like, I'm literally walking on the treadmill because I live in, Winterville here, in Montana. But if I miss that, I just feel like crap. And then I will normally try to do weights at like 4 p.m. So 3:30, 4 p.m. because that tends to be like that peak before, I don't have that. My blood sugar is kind of doing its thing and I'm in good shape and I'm ready to do that. And I'm fortunate. Not everybody can do that. Right. But if you can't do that, definitely get all that stuff done in the morning. I think that's phenomenal in order to do that. And those non-negotiables, right? There's that kind of stuff is super important. One of the things that you said is kind of taking responsibility. Yeah. And I've talked about this on this podcast multiple times, and I just heard this song. There's a song that basically said, "Dear younger me, it's not your fault." It's a Christian song. I hate that song. I like the song. I hate that line, right? Because I always say it probably is your fault. Like whatever's going on in your life, barring, you could probably trace it back to a decision you made almost completely. Yeah. But let's say that there's a small ones that aren't your fault. The good thing is, if it's your fault, you can fix it.
Yes.
You're in control, because anything that's outside of your control, how do you fix it?
You can't.
But if it's something that you're responsible for, then it's easier to fix. And I'm kind of going down this litany of things that you gave me, but in the emotional energy side is something that I really try to teach people a lot, which is I work in the automotive industry I have one of my brands is in the automotive industry, in the detailing industry in particular. And for whatever reason, this group of individuals that are in this industry are super negative. They worry about competition. They worry about what people say about them. They worry about getting into the drama and all that. Like, I don't think dentists are doing that. I don't know. It could be something that dentists do too. But I'm constantly telling these people, because I kind of have this place in that industry where people listen to me a little bit. I will say, why are you wasting the emotional energy to even get involved in this situation? Why are you giving that away? You only have a finite amount of energy. Yep. If you give that away, that's less for yourself, less for your family, less for your business, all of these things. And so preserving that, to your point about those negative people, right? Like, don't waste your emotional energy on that crap. Either distance yourself. You can get rid of them if that's possible. Sometimes they're family members, so that requires a little bit of management. Right. But that whole concept is something I just absolutely love. So those 3 things are phenomenal. Can you give me, I'm interested in your personal, non-negotiables in your life.
Oh, I'd love to. There's 2 things I want to go over. 1, let's go over my non-negotiables. And then 2, I want to come back to this idea of choice and what's in our control. Because I love, you and I speak so much the same language. Even when you were talking about your morning routine, I'm like, I knew it. I knew this guy and I have almost the same routine. So here's my non-negotiables in the morning. 1, when I wake up, I've already got my clothes laid out for my cardio workout. This is a big deal because people, like when you're waking up, you don't really want to be making decisions and what am I doing right now again? No. Keep it real simple. You've got it already laid out. Boom. I've got my clothes on. I've got my fluids in front of me and I'm on my treadmill within 6 minutes of waking up. That's a big deal. Now, no phone. Do not look at your phone in the morning. This is a non-negotiable. Why? Where is the positive in it? It is just fires that you're going to put out. There's no positive. It's like we hoped it's no. This one message is going to be, you won the lottery or something here. Nope. Oh, a whole bunch.
It's always like, where was my order? I do retail sales on Shopify too. It's like, what happened to my order?
Yep.
Like, dude, really? I didn't need that right now. Now I get to think about that for the next half hour while I do my workout.
And you haven't primed your brain yet to prepare for a great day. So you're just going, what kind of day is it going to be? Fires, a fires kind of day. So no, none of that. I'm on my treadmill and now I'm moving. I've got blood flowing. I'm feeling good. And I'm in my prayer time. And if you're not into prayer time, just be in some gratitude time. Because if you spend some time in gratitude, here's all the things I'm grateful for in my life. It washes over you like, frick, I got a good life. We don't spend enough time in that, and we don't recognize all the great things we have until they're gone. So spend some time in that and see how now I'm priming myself now. And by the way, then I stretch, and now I'll take a peek at my phone as I'm eating my healthy breakfast. Now I'm prepared. There's going to be fires, and I'm like, it's okay. There's fires every day. My life is so good. I'm going to be able to handle this. I'm in control, not that. So that's huge. Then I do after a little bit of digestion, after a little bit of prayer time, a little bit of time with my family, I often make my girls breakfast, which I love that time with my family. Then I get my workout in, and then I go sauna and cold tub every day. And boy, are those life changers. Now I'm ready to face my day with full energy, full expectation that I'm going to crush it again today. So those are a few of my non-negotiables, and they really do lead into also what Kevin was talking about with what's in your control. This is such great advice that he's given, so I'm just going to piggyback on it. What is in your control? And that's what you should be focusing on. This world is trying to grab your focus and go, can you believe what's happening in this part of the world? Can you believe the injustice of what your government's doing? You're being taxes are going up. Can you believe so-and-so politician has done this? Can you believe blah, blah, blah? All these things out of your control. When you focus on what's out of control, you feel out of control. And I get that. That is a horrible place for us to be. And it is loaded with fear. That's what they want. That is their end goal. Be in fear. Because if you're in fear, guess who's in control? They are. They can sell you crap. They can get your eyes to focus on crap. All this junk is based on fear. But for me, I don't deal with any of that stuff that's out of my control. I pull it all back into what's in my control. And there's so much more in your control than you realize. And again, this is what Kevin said. You can peel it back to a decision got me here. So therefore, a decision can get me out. Now, will it be one decision and my life will change tomorrow? No. But a series of decisions that you will commit to. We're going to talk about habits. You commit to certain habits and you just get a little bit better every single day. So this isn't about, okay, you know what? You've convinced me. I'm pulling sugar out of my diet. No more fast food for me. While I love that, and that's a beautiful thing, I'm kind of confident you've said this before, and with all due respect, how did it work out?
Yeah.
Because you can't do that 180. Your brain and your body is like, this is too much change. We can't keep this up. So my encouragement to you is just to take some baby steps in the right direction. So what do baby steps look like? Okay, well, I have fast food 5 days a week right now. Okay, next week, immediately, you're now going to be a 3-day-a-week guy. 3 days a week. You only cut out 2 days per week. You still get that fast food hit. It's not crazy. You're going to do this for a few weeks and you're going to go, it wasn't that bad. It was not a big deal. I had to replace a couple of bad meals with good ones. You do that for 3 weeks and then you're going to drop it down to 2. And from 3 to 2, it's not that big of a jump. You're going to go, that wasn't that bad. And then from 2 to 1, not that bad. And then from 1 to 0. And you're going to go, that's not that big of a deal. I was only having 1 anyway. See how these little baby steps, and all of a sudden you're at 0 and you feel like a champ. And then when you're at 0 and you try having 5 days a week of fast food again, you are going to feel disgusting. Disgusting. How awesome is that? And then you go right back to 1 or 0. And now you're on this beautiful path. Now do this in every part of your life. How much alcohol do you drink? Don't try and go to 0. See, this is different kind of talk.
Mm-hmm.
Going to zero, I'm sorry, you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you just drop 1 or 2 days per week that you were having drinks and replace it with something else, something more positive, not drugs now, but something more positive. Now
I'm moving to cocaine. That's, I'll get more done that way. I'll just switch over.
Honey, Marcus told me. He said drugs are. He said. See, little baby steps, your life will change.
Yeah, I love that. And, on that fast food kick, I don't eat we don't eat out that much, but like if I will have, for whatever reason, I'm traveling or whatever. And like, most of the time I pack my lunch when I travel. I've got one of those travel coolers that weightlifters use. They're awesome, by the way. But if I can't remember, it's got 3 different meals in there, and it's, it's basically one of those. It's probably a Chinese knockoff I got on Amazon, frankly. But like, if I forget that and I have fast food, I'm like, is this what people feel like all the time when they eat this crap? Cause like, it is so full of chemicals and junk. And like, it just makes, and so when you get to that 0, even I think when you get down from 5 to 2, you're like, why was I eating this stuff in the first place? I feel so much better at 2. I wonder what I'll feel like at 1 and then at 0. Yeah. Right. And it's same thing with alcohol or anything else that you're putting into your body that's poisoning you.
Oh, so true. Kevin, can I give everybody one more beauty that it's a mindset for me for food?
Give them as much as you want, man. Give them as much as we'll, this is gold, by the way. You guys should be making sure you take notes on these things.
Awesome. Food is data. Here's what I love about this word data. It is a small little word, but it is so all-encompassing and it really busts out into something big. So if food is data, Kev, help me out here. If I eat a really disgusting and not even good tasting, so let's leave the burgers that are good tasting, the Five Guys, we'll leave that in a separate category, okay? Five Guys is okay for our treat meals. But a garbage burger that was made at a garbage restaurant, fast food, what data am I telling my body by eating that? Just give me anything. There's lots.
I feel full.
Okay. Filling up. What else?
I get that sugar and chemical hit, right? Yes. So that I get a dopamine hit from it, especially if I'm addicted to it, right?
What about
I get that calorie boost for about 20 minutes?
Yeah.
but I do get that energy boost, especially if I'm loading up on sugar and, sugar drink and all that, right?
What are you telling your body you feel about your body by having that garbage burger?
Well, I mean, after the fact, you're like, why did I do that to myself?
Yep. So here's a few more. Hey, body, I want you to experience some inflammation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to slow down my digestive system. I want to screw up my digestive system. I want to overwork and tax my liver, my kidneys, my digestive system, my insulin, muscles. I don't want to feed you properly. Brain, I don't want to feed you properly. Like, look at the data. And men, we've just said like 8 things. I would say you could literally make a list of 800.
Yeah.
Now, let's say I have a beautiful meal, a nice, clean cooked piece of salmon with some brown rice and some broccoli. Kev, help me out. What data did I just tell my body?
That you value it. You want to put good things in it. You got your fiber, right? You got your vitamins. You got omega-3s and omega-6, right? Like we were talking about earlier, I don't think people understand the difference between those two scenarios, really, and what you feel like.
Yes.
And I'll say this, I'm more of like food is fuel kind of guy. Like I'm not a guy that looks forward to major meals and all. It's kind of an annoyance. I'm more of a Jetsons, give me a pill that tastes like, a T-bone kind of a guy.
Yeah, buddy.
But like, I do know what good food makes me feel like and good fuel, right? We, in the fitness industry, we always use that food as fuel thing, and versus like what bad fuel looks like. It's like a car. I'm a car guy, right? Yeah. So if I put diesel in my gas car or vice versa, it's definitely not going to run.
No.
So keep going with your thing.
Brother, this is so wild, by the way. So many of these analogies are in my book. Like when you read my book, you're going to go, did he record our conversation and type it up? You know what I specifically say? I used to talk about diesel, but it's so much worse what we do to our bodies. We have this Ferrari and we pull up to the gas station and we go, you know what? Coca-Cola is on sale. I'm going to put some Coca-Cola in my gas tank. It seems ridiculous, but that's exactly what we're doing to our bodies. We've only got one. We've got one Ferrari, and we're like, well, this was on sale. Glug, 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 glug. Like, that's even more ridiculous, in my opinion, than putting it in your Ferrari's gas tank. Because guess what? Your Ferrari breaks down, you can buy another Ferrari.
Yeah.
Your body breaks down, there is no second chance here. Like you got to take good care of this stuff. So that idea of food is fuel, food is data. What are you telling yourself? And one of the flip sides of this, where most people just don't go and they don't recognize because they do eat poorly, is what can I expect out of my body? We just think, well, no. I just put this stuff in my face and it just covers me for a few hours. This is not what this is about. This is about fueling it, like putting something in there, and then you can expect, my brain is going to be really sharp today. I'm going to come up with some incredible ideas today. I'm going to have great energy today. My body is going to do amazing things today. Wouldn't that be a nice thing to be able to say every single day? Can you think about the impact you would make on your own life and about in the lives of everybody around you if you showed up to life like that every single day?
But it's so expensive, Marcus. I can't afford to eat healthily. First of all, have you bought fast food lately? Like the old $3 dinners, it's like $19. And if you go to Five Guys, for my wife and I to go to Five Guys here, it's like $45.
Isn't it crazy?
So it's definitely, and that I saw a story. It's actually now getting to where it's cheaper to eat at home.
Yes.
Like before, it was almost a wash, or sometimes cheaper to eat out. Now it's not like that. Like it's cheaper to eat at home.
Yeah.
But that's the excuse, right? Oh, it's expensive. I can't afford vegetables. I can't afford eggs and steak and salmon and all this stuff, right?
You know, so that's so beautiful. There's two things you just brought up that I love. Check your assumptions. We gather data at some point in the past, and we just go, that's the way it is. No, it's too expensive. It's cheaper to, hold on. That's an old assumption. That's not true anymore. You're absolutely right. Every time we go out for dinner, I'm like, what is going on? Like, we have money, and I'm staring at this bill going, who can afford this? Like, yeah. Is nobody paying attention? Because again, we just go under the assumption like, oh, I've always eaten here, I can afford it. It's 2.5 times what it used to cost. And if you eat at home, you can get healthy stuff, you can get vegetables, you can get these things at cheaper prices now. So double check that assumption, and maybe we're going to start eating healthier at home again.
Yeah. And I'll give you a little secret. I put this on my Facebook the other day. ChatGPT, you were talking about AI with medical stuff, right? So Michelle, my wife, loves the Mediterranean diet. But she needs more protein, right? And so I use ChatGPT, and when you do, anybody that's not meal prep for Mediterranean, like it takes a lot of prep. Like because you got a ton of vegetables and you're cutting and all that kind of stuff. I dropped in ChatGPT, which is free. You can use the free version. The paid version is a little bit natural language progression. Anyway, we'll get super geeky about it. But I said, hey, I need 4 meals. Let's food prep 4 meals. I want meal prep for 4 meals. Please combine ingredients to limit the amount of prep required.
Nice.
I need, so whatever she's eating, I need 30 grams of protein per meal. So add extra protein, and I want these particular ingredients. And please give me 12 options. I'll pick, and then I'll tell you after I pick if you can to give me the recipes. Took less than 2 minutes. She had 4 recipes that she loves. It minimized the amount of cutting because it combined all the prep stuff, right? Yeah. So she's cutting bok choy and cabbage and the quinoa or whatever's in there.
Wow.
Super easy. So there's one of your excuses. If you're saying, I don't even know what to eat, dude, use AI.
Boom.
It's free, and you can use it for fitness variety. You can use it for all sorts of things. You still need guys like us to help you, help guide you. So you know how much, all this stuff, but it's great for being able to kind of get some variety and stuff. So it takes that And you can even tell it, I can't afford to buy high-end stuff, but I still want to be healthy. And it will recommend, you can say, I can afford $5 a meal, and it will recommend recipes that fall into that for the servings. And it's freaking scary. So I talk really nice to AI. So if it does decide to kill, all of us as humans, maybe I'll be on that short list of non-kill. I don't know, but
I, for one, would like to welcome our new overlords.
That's right.
Bro, what a game-changing piece of advice, man. People, rewind that back 5 minutes and listen to it again. Like, this is where we're at in this world of technology. Look at how simple and easy that is to radically change our lives. Beautiful, brother. I love that tip.
And it's not hard. I mean, honestly, it's just a matter of doing it. And depending, we talked a little bit about mindset. And I tell this story a lot on my podcast, but my girls, they go to mom for like the encouragement, the building up and like the, more mom things, right? Emotional type things. They literally call these calls, Dad, I need these stop being a little bitch talk. Because like, it may be something like, you're complaining that you haven't gotten your homework done, but how much Netflix and social media have you done this week, right? And so I literally ask the question, they'll tell me this thing, and I will say, have you tried not being a little bitch about it? And if that's not your personal self-talk, and I'm a Christian, like we don't like, I don't use harsh language, but I talk to myself this way too. It's like doing the cold plunge kind of sucks, right? Some of these things you have to do, there are easier, less painful paths in the short run. But that's like and that's about the soreness or acute injuries or whatever. It's like I've tried to develop habits that I say, it's not if I'm going to do these things, it's what time I'm going to do these things, or at what point, or at what frequency, or all of those, right? Yes. But that whole, like, if that self-talk works for you, I know Joe Rogan uses that phrase to get it. He tells himself to stop being a little bitch about going in the cold plunge. But if that language works for you as a motivator, then use it. It may be much friendlier to yourself than that. And I don't recommend like total shameful talk to yourself. None of us do. But it's just a matter of just do it, right? Just that, just go make some changes in your life. And I think Marcus has given us some really awesome ideas on this one for sure.
So good. Hey, I just love, I want to highlight that shows how good of a relationship you have with your kids and that what you've taught them over the years. I mean, you can't just start talking to a 25-year-old girl that way. That started probably when they were about 3 years old. So I just want to tell you, I love that. I love seeing other men take that stuff serious. And I want to encourage all the fathers who are listening to this, communicate more with your kids and don't be afraid to discipline them. We all know what technology is doing to screw them up. And we just leave them. Yeah, but I can't get them off the iPad. I don't want to be the bad guy. They're on their iPhones all the time. I don't want to be the bad guy. You know where it's going to lead them. So you're either the bad guy in the long run because, Dad, how could you let me? Like, I'm going nowhere in life. I'm 40 years old and I'm still living in your basement because I can't afford to do anything else. And I've got a job that pays me $11 an hour. That's because of what you allowed when they were younger. And I'm not going to toot my own horn for what I'm about to say, but I want to tell you, I think this is more common than not. I had a chat with my daughter last week. We've restricted their iPad for many years from the beginning, but we let it slide a little bit, and they were having some busy time in school, and we were like, we justified it. Well, they need a little bit of extra release. And then it got bad because it does. It's an addiction. It's like anything. They needed a drink at the end of the day, and all of a sudden now they're drinking 20 drinks at the end of the day. It slid. And so I had a talk, and I said, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up new rules. You're going to get 1 hour per night, 4 nights a week. You can tell me which hour, and that way you can schedule your friends to say, hey, between 5 and 6, we're going to jump on a Zoom or whatever you want. That's your time. In the last 7 days, she's been exercising. She's been reading more. She's gotten ahead of her homework. She's full of life. Like, it's a totally different girl. And we had this talk last night, and she's like, Dad, I'm so grateful you got me off the iPad. I'm so grateful. Like, I feel like I can do anything. I've got so much energy. I'm doing all these projects. I'm thinking again clearly. It's so insane because all we had to do is like get her off her addiction. And yet there's no positive. There's no reason to leave it, but we do. And again, coming from a place of mercy, I only changed 7 days ago. So I'm not like, if you want to be perfect like me. No, I was the goofball letting it go for so long. So I just want to give you guys that, like, man, have some encouragement. Go have that talk today to say, hey, we're going to start limiting your iPad time. It's just
and she's 12. Is this the 12-year-old?
The 12-year-old.
Okay. Yeah. And keep in mind that advice works very well for adults who are 50 years old and 45 years old and any age. From kids' standpoint, one of the, like, as you're saying this, I had this vision. Have you ever been to Tijuana?
No.
Tijuana's horrible. It just is.
Scared,
it's and there are certain parts that are way worse. Imagine dropping your 12-year-old daughter into the middle of Tijuana and tell her, I'll come back and pick you up in 2 hours. Like, you talk about going dark on some of this stuff. Like, you would never do that.
No.
You have to see the internet for children as worse than that, right? Like, that is something. And we, again, I was not perfect about this. We had a family computer that was actually in our kitchen. We have a little desk in there that we used. And that was something that, your kids should really not be in their room with the door closed on a device of any kind. Yeah. If they're 18, 19, that's their choice. They're adults. They can make those decisions. Yeah. When they're forming, especially when their frontal lobe's not fully developed and all that stuff. So I would like for men and husbands, fathers, wives, mothers to think of that Tijuana, analogy. And honestly, I've never used that before. So you're hearing it here first. Cool. But like, it is such a terrible place. And especially right now, if you look at all the data, we talked about data early, like what we're doing to kids' identities and what we're telling them about themselves and who they are. And you're a person of faith. And I wanted to say this earlier, but there's something that I kind of lean into when I'm talking about my kids and their decision making. And they've made decisions that we don't agree with and different, not our choice for their lives. But I always tell them, look, there's two things I know to be true. God is who he says he is, and you are who he says he is. You are who he says you are. Yeah. So he is who he says he is, and you are who he says you are. Yeah. Right? Okay. And that's that mindset. And if you're not a person of faith, you can believe, whatever you happen to believe. But there is something innate in yourself and your value to yourself, to your family, and to the world that really we can lean into a lot more. Yes. And if you see your kids as that precious representation of who they are also, and then you want to do everything, especially as a dad. Yes. Like, dude, we're supposed to be protectors, right? Like, and that means, we protect our wives. We step in front of the mugger in the alleyway. Yes. And we protect our kids from things that we can't even see on the internet, right? Like this, it's a horrible place. So I love that you brought that up. I think that's amazing that you did that. I have friends that don't allow their kids much time at all. Even freaking Mark Zuckerberg doesn't let his kids go on Facebook.
Oh my goodness. What a lesson to learn. Actually, all Silicon Valley bigwigs don't allow their kids iPads because they know what happens. Yeah. Yeah. That's got to tell you something. Oof. Yeah. Listen, I want to come full circle on something because what you just said was so beautiful. And it brings me back to something you said in the very beginning. And I've been keeping it in the back of my mind. You talked about walking into certain places and feeling that imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And so I want to help you with that. And hopefully people are going to take a good nugget out of this. I've learned to fully get rid of imposter syndrome. And here's how. I fully believe if I'm in a room, I'm supposed to be in that room. As in, God has placed me in that room. I don't need to know why. If you try to do it on your own wisdom, on my own wisdom, I'll never figure it out. And that is absolutely where imposter syndrome is going to come into. If I'm in this room with a bunch of billionaires, the Mark Cubans of the world, the most intelligent minds of the world, I know I'm supposed to be there. I don't think it's because I'm as intelligent as them. Far from it.
Right.
I don't think it's because I have as much money, because I don't. But God has placed me in that room for some reason, and I don't even necessarily need to know why ever. So I'm going to have a few conversations. And guess what? I'm going to impact somebody's life. But if I cower, I don't belong here, I don't belong here, I don't belong here, I won't have the impact that I'm supposed to be having. This is who I'm supposed to show up as. And so I hope you guys hear this as show up as your authentic self every single day. You don't know the impact you are supposed to have in this world. If you don't show up as yourself, you won't have it.
Yeah, because you never know. That group of billionaires, you've got something to offer them that they can't get anywhere else because there's no one else like you.
That's
right? Like that's you're made in a certain way. You can have certain conversations that no one else has. And I joke on the podcast about, this, how did you get in here guests? But those conversations, like I would have never made the assumption that you and I were so similar. Right. Like if you lined up, this is who Marcus is, this is who Kevin is, like we align far more than we don't align.
Absolutely.
And so like, you never know. And I think one crucial skill that I've developed over the years, and I'm sure you do too, is you figure out that connection point with everybody that you meet, whether it's a custodian at the high school or your kid's teacher or a billionaire.
Yeah.
There's always a connection point because you're human. We all live in our own humanity. And I love what you're saying, which is, you are in that space for a reason. You and I are having this discussion for a reason. We connected, I think, on social media or something. I think I reached out to you, which is a bold move on my part, right? To reach out to you. But like that's, and I have stories throughout my life that if I had not taken that step, I would not have had the results for years, like I would have never gotten that. We have a story where my wife was a stay-at-home mom, homemaker turned rally car driver, welder, car builder. She's had 5 different SEMAs that she's had vehicles in that she's worked on. But that whole process started because one of our best friends now is on a TV show on Discovery, Motor Trend TV and all that. Wow. And I said, hey, I know she's having this event. Why don't we reach out to her? And so we can go meet her. And my wife was like, no, she doesn't have time for that. So I did that. And that started a chain of events that completely changed the trajectory of this stay-at-home mom's life. Right. Like she met all these tradeswomen and she got into welding and she's done body work and we built her Jeep and like all that stuff. So all that to say, don't be afraid to take those steps and to be your authentic self. Right.
Brother, I love that.
For sure.
I love that.
Well, this has been amazing. I can't thank you enough for doing this. I need to come have actual lunch with you at some point because I think that would be phenomenal.
I'd love that, brother.
Have you go take me suit shopping for sure. But no, hey, how do people find you? What's going on with the book? When do we look for that? I know you do coaching programs and all sorts of membership programs and stuff like that. So give us the scoop.
Thank you so much. Hey, first of all, I just want to say you're doing an amazing job. I loved this conversation with you. I loved spending time with you, and I would love to hang out with you again sometime, man. Off the air, on the air, doesn't matter.
100%. Yeah.
If you guys felt something here today, if you felt something from me, you liked plugging into this energy, you want to plug in again, come reach out to me. Look at what Kevin said. He just reached out to me out of nowhere, and look at the conversation we had. It was freaking awesome. So please do the same. Reach out to me. Connect with me. My book is now for pre-sale. So if you go and pick up the book anywhere, Amazon and all the beautiful bookstores, you can do a pre-sale order and you come on to playabiggergame.com/book and register that book. I'm going to give you some freebies and you'll be entered to win a bunch of different trips. I'm sending people on trips, especially to come down to my big conference that I'm going to have in July. And Kev, I'd love to see you there, brother. And it's going to be an absolutely life-changing day. Playbiggergame.com. That's my mastermind. If you want to spend time with me, if you want to do some big business things and just think bigger, be around people who play bigger, come check us out. Playbiggergame.com or on Instagram, Markus Kaulius. Come say hi. Let me know that you heard of me from here. And let's just connect. Plug into this energy. You want to get more of it? I'd love to give you more. I'd love to be on this journey with you.
That's awesome, Marcus. I appreciate you taking the time, brother. This has been great.
Buddy, pleasure was mine. God bless you, man.
Yeah.
Keep doing you.
You too. You too.
If you're looking to really maximize your life and become the man you were made to be, head over to maxedoutman.com and get your journey started today.